which is it's another, to me, it's another example of bellows breath, but it's forceful exhalation and then just almost automatic inhalation. It says, I asked yesterday, so what's the energetic difference and what's the spiritual energetic difference? And in here it says that if you're doing Kapalabhati, it invigorates the entire brain and it allows a subtle perception. And it sounds like it's if you do this and do it regularly, and I reread the techniques for doing it, and it's really interesting, especially when you do it combined with the bandhas and the breath retention. It just sounds like a really interesting thing. And I have done it. And again, yesterday you asked me, wasn't this one where you got dizzy? And I said, yeah, but that's probably because I was doing too forceful exhalations, which means, well, it creates a real imbalance. Instead of bringing you to a place where you're more cleansed and you're, as it says, it awakens the centers of more subtle perception. And a part of me thinks that's because it requires such focus, that happens. If you do it incorrectly, you end up moving in the other direction. And then the Astrika, even inhale and exhale, it's also kind of a bellows breath, except it's very even. That to me sounds like, I couldn't really find in this book a statement of this kind of the spiritual benefits of it. I mean, to me, it sounds like, the physics, it at least what we've read so far. But when we read the next verse, which I think is 66.
68.
Oh, it's 68?
Yeah, Brahmari, bro. We read through 66, but we can remember we talked about the psychic pranic knots, or I read about it. We didn't.
Oh, yeah. So basically, in order for me to understand the sort of spiritual energy difference between Bhastrika and Kapalabhati, I'm going to have to reread 66 and 67, because I read that this morning, but I don't really understand the psychic or the pranic knots. So
I think off the top of my head, I think when she was talking about the psychic pranic knots, I think she said there were 3 of them, and they were located at the base of the spine at Muladhara chakra, Anahata chakra, which is the heart, and Ajna chakra, which is the third eye. And I think that she was talking about this prana work, untangling those knot centers to allow the prana to flow evenly. Because the whole point, I think, of all pranayama is to get our prana flowing evenly and unblock the blockages.
So, okay, so that's, if what you said is the case, then it sounds like Bhastrika is more of a, well, you said it, unblocking, and a general unblocking of the energies. And the Kapalabhati is more focused on a particular kind of, allowing a particular kind of thinking to occur, or a particular kind of perception to occur.
I don't know. I still have a lot of research to do on this, but after quickly Googling it, because online has a lot of information too. I mean, you just have to pick through what you want to know.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I feel like these two, first of all, make sure you're practicing these safely and on an empty stomach. But I feel like when you practice them, maybe the benefits will show themselves too. But I feel like for Kapalabhati breath, it's a very heating breath. So like, it's not something we always do in the hottest days of summer, because it can agitate you if you don't know how to cool yourself down after. It's very like a heating, the breath of fire, I think they call it.
I agree. I agree.
With bellows breath, I feel like it's something in the article I was just skimming through. Was saying, you could do it 2 to 3 times a day. I don't know if I would practice Kapalabhati breath 2 to 3 times a day, because it's whereas bellows breath is very even, and it's very, for me, it's very calming breath. I love it. And I always go back to that. I recently watched The Princess Bride. I don't know if you've ever seen this movie.
Yeah, about 10 times.
And there's a part in it where they actually have a bellows and they're pumping it into the guy's mouth. And I can't do Bhastrika breath anymore without thinking about that scene.
Yeah.
I think it's Billy Crystal who plays the character, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and he has these big bellows.
Yes.
I feel like for me personally, without going to the internet, and I haven't practiced both a lot, but for me, Kapalabhati breath, the energy is like invigorating, it's energizing, it's heating. And with Bhastrika breath, it's just for me, it's like it can be very calming. It's like a reset to me. I feel like Kapalabhati breath. I just read this too, so it was a reminder. Like, it mentioned like women, Kapalabhati being the quick one, where you're really forcing that exhale using your muscles.
Yeah.
It's very strengthening. Now, Bhastrika could also be very strengthening too, but I feel it in the Kapalabhati, where I'm like, I feel like I'm almost doing sit-ups, like my stomach's working so hard. Whereas in Bhastrika breath, it's not.
I agree. The first time I did Kapalabhati was I was working with a yoga teacher, and I was sort of bemoaning and complaining that I couldn't get to my creative, imaginative side in a particular project. And she said, well, she asked me a couple of questions, and I think basically to make sure that I was set up okay to do this, and she said, let's try this. And we've done it together several times since then. And I agree. First of all, it feels, even though it might not be the same amount of work, it feels like a lot more work. And it is, and I agree, it's very energizing. And for me, I find that it gets me out of my doldrums. And I agree. The other is more, it's very even. And it's
also awakening. It doesn't make me tired. I'm not saying that because it isn't as invigorating. It's just like a sneaky energizer with the bellows.
Yeah.
Whereas Kapalabhati, it's an immediate. One of my teachers that I took a training under we practiced Kapalabhati, and she was a yin teacher, so it wasn't a fast practice she was trying to get us to do.
Right.
I can't remember what month or time of year it was either that I took this training. I doubt it was in the heart of summer though. But anyway, she had us practice Kapalabhati breath before, and it was a room full of teachers. So we all had experienced some form of this breath before. And she described Kapalabhati breath. She described doing it before a yin practice, because she used this analogy of like, if you are about to go swimming in a pool and you take that skimmer thing, the thing that like cleans the top of the pool.
Yeah.
And you the pool's clean, but you just got to get that like top layer off.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what she describes Kapalabhati as. And it was just like with yin postures, you're holding a pose for like, it could be up to 5 to 10 minutes, 3 to 5 minutes. You're holding one shape for a long time. And you're really getting into I want to say fibers, but this isn't the right word.
Yeah, it's the thing that covers the muscles, and it's like the sheath that covers the muscles in the bone.
Spider webs in the
Yeah, and I can't think of the name of it either. Yep.
I'm gonna have to Google it. It's totally, maybe it is fibers. I don't know. I don't know what. Um,
So it was the first time I heard of it, I was in a yoga class and teacher said, um,
oh, I know. Sorry. Go ahead.
what is it? What is it?
Fascia. Fascia.
Oh, fascia, of course, of course. I was
Sorry.
in a yoga class and the teacher said, so fascia is like if you eat, you buy a steak and you're going to cook it, and sometimes when you open it up, you might have to release the fascia around certain parts of the steak. And I think I was the only one in the room who ate steak. Everybody else was a vegetarian. It was pretty entertaining,
Yeah.
but I knew what it was.
Yeah. And so when you start to study that and like really how much you believe in that idea of what emotions our fascia holds, which I find fascinating. And then you do a yin practice where some people will be like, I don't want to do yin. It's too, it's not the fast vinyasa flow that people, but it is a very healing practice. I love yin yoga.
So do I, and I don't find it easy at all to hold
No, it's
those
not.
poses.
It's
And
not.
and you're not just lying there passive. It's not restorative. You're working your butt off to get into the pose, and then you continue working to get deeper into the pose. And meanwhile, you're trying to maintain your breathing and your alignment and
And
your focus. Yeah, I mean, to me, that's work.
well, and so yin yoga, because it's stretching, it's working the fascia
Yeah.
where we hold our emotions, sometimes that emotion comes to the surface.
Yep.
Well, not sometimes, but pretty often, I would say. So what the teacher was saying is before you even get to that, let's
Mhm.
just skim the top layer, like let's skim the person who cut you off for the day and the person that, was mean to you, or the person, like let's skim all those top emotions out so
Mhm.
that you can get deeper to the bottom of the pool. And I love that analogy for Kapalabhati because I feel like for me, that's what it does. Whereas bellows breath is almost like a deep, and I could be totally wrong, but this is what I mean, Sue. Like you could read all the articles, but until you start practicing it or thinking about your own experiences, you might not get the answers you're looking for. But for
Yeah.
me, the Bastrika breath is more like a deeper, it's not like a surface, whereas Kapalabhati feels like very surface level to me. It's not, but this is just what it feels like to me. And also because someone had planted that seed in about the skimming.
Well, it's first. Did you take that yin course with Eva Houlihan?
No, but I know Ava. Yeah, no, I didn't take it with her.
Yeah, because it sounds like something that she might,
Yeah.
might do at the beginning of a yin class. And the second thing is that I think when I reread the Kapalabhati thing, I was reading about how long, or rather, how many repetitions of Kapalabhati you can do. And I think, of course, that has to have an impact, and it has, which is very interesting as well. And like you said, once you practice it, then you discover what is the particular impact on for you, at that particular time for you. I'm not saying this very clearly. I guess what I'm saying is for me, um, it was, I found that it was extraordinarily energizing, and it was uh, focusing in a way that if I was going to jump up right after it, I would jump right into the task and do whatever the task was and feel more like, yeah, I'm really into it now, that kind of thing. And the other is, like you said, it's to me, it's more creating this even energetic pond, but I'm not ready to jump up and finally soar through the sock drawer, that kind of thing. It's not that kind of energy.
Yeah,
It's more,
I totally agree. It's like like you'll be energized all day, whereas Kapalabhati, you're going to be energized for the 25-minute task.
that's, yep.
So, And like I said, like you could probably find 1,000 million articles on these two and find very contradictory to what I just said. I'm not speaking as an expert on these two. I'm just speaking from my own experiences on it. So I don't want you to like take what I just said as like I love that you spun this into your own like self-study practice yesterday and even into this morning, and encourage me to as well, because I do want to learn more. And I love that we're pausing and not just be like, we have to get to the next verse. Like, it's okay for us to just have these discussions, because this is how we learn, right?
Yeah.
The whole point of these mornings. It's not to get through the book as fast as we can. So yeah, I want to pull up my 200-hour manual and see what information's in there from Amanda and Revolution, and then I can do some more self-study online, because I like Kapalabhati breath, but when I learned Vastrika, it was like the loophole to Kapalabhati, because it's something I can practice more often, and it's
Yep.
something I can bring to the students, I think.
Yeah. I agree. I agree I agree with what you just said, especially about what can you bring first to students? And I think that's it. And in fact, some people do it naturally when they try self-calming. Even before, you get into yoga, I can remember trying to do deep, even breaths, in and out, in order to, calm down or not yell at my kids for doing whatever they did for the 45th thousandth time, that kind of thing. So,
Yeah,
anyway.
I think for like I'm starting to I haven't like I didn't practice to teach it, and I want to watch some videos online to see like language, and actually I should have Amanda do it. I should go back to one of the videos. I would have to find it, or next time she teaches it, I'll refer to that video. Um because I feel like when I'm practicing nostril breathing, which is what we're
Yeah.
always breathing, when I'm practicing like Ujjayi or like my 2-to-1 breathing, my focus is on my nose. So I'm like inhaling through my nose, and my focus is I'm breathing into my low belly, but my mind focus is up here. It's focusing on inhaling through the nose and slightly restricting the back of the throat. So the breath is moving, but my gaze is here, right? So for Vastrika breath, my gaze comes down to my abdomen. So it shifts the gaze in my and this isn't something that is taught. This is just what I do. When I'm doing Vastrika bellows breath, I'm focusing on breathing, but forcefully through my abdomen. So I'm inhaling and exhaling using my stomach.
Pam,
So
do you ever do the alternate nostril breathing where um, you get into alternate nostril breathing and then you start, and sorry, I can't remember the Sanskrit names, but as Amanda described it, it is basically holding the energy in so that when you breathe in, you tighten the Mula Bandha, and then when you breathe out, I don't remember the name of this bandha.
yeah,
Well,
Jala.
no, when you breathe in, you tighten both the Mula Bandha and this bandha, and then when you breathe out, you kind of relax, lift your chin a little bit, and it becomes a part of the exhalation for alternate nostril breathing, which means that you do focus on the abdomen and and the bandhas,
Well, so
lower bandhas as
what I would
well
say for
as.
that, what I would say for that, when I'm doing alternate nostril breathing with the locks, on the inhale, my attention's up here. And then when I'm pausing and holding the breath for the retention, then my attention shifts to the locks. So I don't know that my attention, my breath, like I feel like there's a lot of movement there, because when I inhale through my left, and then I pause. The breath is in now. Like I'm holding the breath, I'm locking the root, and I'm tucking my chin down. And then I inhale, lift, I exhale through right, I release the lock and the lock, and I exhale.
I begin, so maybe I'm not doing this correctly. When I was trying to do alternate nostril breathing with the locks, I began the locks on the inhale and I released them on the exhale. So I didn't wait for retention to begin the locks.
Well, I don't think I can lock my throat until I don't really lock my throat until I tuck the chin down. So I do that, I get all the air in and then I lock it in. That's how I do it. It's not right or wrong. That's just how I do it.
I don't, but there might be a preferred, there might be a preferred method that it's not a matter of right or wrong, good or bad, evil and sainthood. I'm thinking more if there is a preferred method for getting you're setting up a physiological response that's going to get you someplace else. And
Yeah.
so there probably is a preferred thing. I got to go back to the directions in here for doing alternate nostril breathing.
I think I do it that way, Sue, because every teacher I hear in my head right now, when I practice alternate nostril breathing, it's very hard for me to take a full inhale and have my root lock. Like it's just too hard for me to think about. It's very straining on my mind. And I've always heard a teacher say, take an inhale, apply the locks, exhale. Inhale, apply the lock. So it's that order that I've learned it in.
Okay.
I've also
So
go ahead.
It's also very possible that I just
I feel like I'm just saying this for me. Just thinking about trying to apply the locks while I'm inhaling feels like I'm multitasking something, like it feels like I'm trying to do too much at once.
Okay, so I'm going back to what I think is alternate nostril, which I think is on page. Oh, come on, Susan. Yeah, 166, way back there. Nadi, Sadhana, Pranayama. All right, and then, but it would be one of the later techniques. Okay, technique 4, sit in Siddhasana, Siddha Yonasana, practice as in technique 3, and inhale through left, exhale through right, but add breath retention after inhalation. Oh, come on. When do we get into so that's just the straight breath retention.
I have to flip through. It's harder for me to flip through on my Kindle, so I can do it.
Oh yeah, no, I'm thinking, something, and it might have been something that Amanda brought up when we were doing this, because the breath retention,
It could be in a different chapter, like following that though. Like, how sometimes she like talks about the techniques and then she adds on.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so I'm gonna have to look this up because I want to make sure that I'm using the locks appropriately with the alternate nostril breathing, the Nadi Shodhana Pranayama. I want to make sure I'm doing that. Because I can do alternate nostril breathing and I've been doing it for years and I really love it. Even when I was still working, I would do it. If I could get a seat on the train going into work, I would do it sitting there because it was unobtrusive. It didn't bother anybody and it didn't look super weird. So, because you don't want to force your practice into somebody else's face, and yet by the time I got to work, I was ready to face the crap that was sure to fly as soon as I walked in the door. Because as chief operating officer, you don't get the good news until later in the day. You walk in and you get the initial crises, and it's sort of like, what are we going to do now? And, 9 times out of 10, people already knew, but you had to be ready to face them calmly and just say, well, let me get a cup of coffee and let's do this, and I want to say this, Nadi Sadhana pranayama really helped me get there. I did it regularly going in. So, but now I want to make sure I'm doing the locks right. Anyway.
Yeah.
All right. Enough about
Well, it's fine.
me.
With Nadi Shodhana, with the alternate nostril breath, you can also do it without your hands. So if you're ever like in a very, you could just, it's very hard. It's a very challenging mental practice to do it through your inhale through your left, and just mentally imagine the air going through the left and then out the right.
Yeah, but you're right. It is very doable, because I used to do that sometimes in meetings when I would think, will this person never shut up? And I would do, which was ungracious and not giving and very judgmental. But
you went into your toolbox and got out your mental alternate nostril breathing. Yeah. Amanda, so we haven't even moved on. We're just like going back and forth with Kapalabhati and from Bhastrika. But Sue, what we read yesterday with Bhastrika breath, and it sounded like to me like she was almost adding alternate nostril breath into the bellows breath, but not alternate nostril like where you're switching, but like just do it through the left nostril and then just do it through the right nostril. I've never done that before with bellows breath before.
no, neither have I. That was a new one on me. And also, Amanda, a quick question about, I think you had talked about applying the locks during alternate nostril breathing.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
And so can you just give the brief directions for applying the locks correctly? Because I found out that I do it differently than Pam does it, and I want to make sure I'm doing it correctly so I get the best physiological response possible.
Okay. Well, I was always taught that you start practicing retention after you've done a lot of alternate nostril breathing and all the other practices. You start doing retention on the inhale, and you practice like that for a long time before you do retention on the inhale and the exhale.
Okay, but
so
what
you would inhale through the left side, retain, exhale through the right side, inhale through the right side, retain, exhale through the left side.
Okay, so suppose you kind of have the retention aspects of alternate nostril breathing, but you want to apply the bandhas, so the lock at the base, because you had talked about.
Oh yeah, the vacuum. Yeah.
Yeah.
You start with the base, the belly, the chin, and then as you release the chin, the belly, and the base. So you go down, up, and then up, down.
Okay, so when you are doing the, you're doing down, up, and then up, down, but do you begin doing the down, up okay, so you breathe in and you retain, and then do you apply the down, up, down? Or do you apply the down, up as you're breathing in?
Okay, so you inhale, hold your breath, and then do your root, belly, chin.
Okay.
Then you release the lock, chin, belly, root, and then you exhale.
Got it. Okay.
So you don't want to exhale while you're still retaining, or it creates that weird vacuum and it hurts your throat.
Okay, thanks. That was...
You're welcome.
So I have been trying during our meditation, but I have been doing it not in a way that was probably the best way. So now I know.
Yeah.
And I will practice it a better way. It actually makes more sense than the way I was doing it.
Yeah, she said she was trying to apply the locks during the inhale, which I was like, that sounds like strenuous to me.
It was.
Yeah, and it sounded like she was trying to multitask, which I thought was funny. It's like we can't even just breathe in without doing other things.
I told you I was a COO. I can multitask. You know?
Yes,
But
you
no,
can.
this makes so much more sense.
So
Yeah, it's more comfortable.
what I want to do is not today because you're in the car, but maybe one day this week you can teach bellows breath to us, because I want to have it on recording so that I can go back and watch, so that I can.
Sure, I'll do it tomorrow. I think I'm leaving tomorrow. I'm driving to go vote now.
You're driving where?
To go vote. I'm hoping that in the rain and at this time there aren't going to be 10 billion people like there were yesterday.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. So, well, good luck with that.
Yep, good luck.
Yeah, so that would be good, because I was gonna watch a video online. I'm like, that's silly. I should just watch my teacher teach it.
Well, you can watch. There are plenty of great teachers on YouTube who lead all the pranayamas as well, if you want to do it today. Otherwise, I'll do it tomorrow.
Okay. I could eventually do both, but
That's true.
I love that. Nikki, I hope that was interesting to you.
Yes, it's all interesting.
Yeah, sorry, Nikki.
No need to apologize. I mean, I'm learning along with you guys, or as you share information, it's helping me learn. So I appreciate all of the conversation, all of your questions. Yeah, so thank you.
It's basically sharing confusion, but that's... So I'm writing a book, and the title of the book is Confusion.
I felt like we just nerded out.
I cannot wait to read your book soon.
Your book, and then I think Pam should write a book called The Universal Unicorn.
That's right.
Yeah.
In my 20s, I'll never write a book. I don't have the ambition to do it, but I would walk around telling people I was writing a book, and I want to call it Sidewalk Etiquette, because I felt, and I still feel this way 15 years later, that people need to be retaught manners in this world, because there is no sidewalk etiquette specifically in New York City. And I would tell people this, and they'd be like, oh, you have to write a chapter on this. You have to.
Yep.
Like,
I've seen articles by New Yorkers on that exact topic. I think it would actually do really well, Pam.
I know, it's there. So if you want to take it, go for it. I have notes in my phone on it.
Just hire a ghostwriter. That's it.
Oh my God. People need manners.
I moved to New York like 11 years ago, and I was working in Midtown, right on 8th Avenue, and I was pregnant, and people would like just run, first off, I came from Florida, so the pace in Florida is so different than up here. So I would maybe we'd have to go to a meeting, and a group of us would go out to walk to the meeting, and they would be, to me, speed walking. Mm-hmm. And I would just always get lost in the crowd trying to catch up, and people would, and I got pregnant, and when I was like big pregnant, people would like literally run into me in Penn Station, and just even on the sidewalk. So yeah, I can relate to sidewalk etiquette, and it's the necessity of it for New York. Yeah.
Awful. I'm like, why do people like this city? It's awful. Anyway.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll focus on Universal Unicorn instead. Yeah, so let's do alternate nostril breathing, and let's send Amanda some Care Bear love. Let's send everyone that's taking let's send everyone through the next week some extra love for this crazy world.
Yep.
And anyone waiting in line.
Yeah.
So we'll do some alternate nostril breathing. I'm gonna mute you guys. Oh, Amanda dropped. Okay, so taking a few breaths in through the nose and out through the nose. Just begin to bring your awareness to your body. Notice where your fingertips are, if their palms are up or down. See if you can relax your hips and your knees, your ankles. See if you can have a nice, strong, straight spine, but pull the shoulders away from the ears, sitting up a little bit taller, pulling the crown of the head up to the ceiling as your sit bones melt down into whatever it is you're sitting on or in. See if you can do all this with creating a long breath in and out. Relax the tongue. And then just notice where your gaze goes to. At the tip of your nose, the back of your throat, the low belly. Not thinking about right or wrong, but just noticing what's going on. And then changing something if your intention isn't aligned with what you're doing. And that's what I like to do before I move into my practice, is just really tune in, practice getting present, and that simple practice for me usually helps. And then pulling your hand over your nose, your right hand over your nose, you'll close your right nostril with your right thumb, inhale through your left, close left, exhale right, inhale right, close right, exhale left, inhale left, close left, exhale right, inhale right, close right, exhale left. So continue on like that for another round of breath. And if alternate nostril pranayama is new to you, you'll continue like that. If you want to add retention in and the locks, you'll inhale through the left, close left, hold, engage the root lock, the belly lock, and the throat lock, tuck the chin down, and then lift the chin up, release the throat, the belly, the root, exhale right, inhale right, hold right and pause, engage the root, the belly, the throat, tuck the chin, release the chin, the throat, the belly, the root, exhale left. Inhale left, hold left, retain the breath, engage the root, the belly, the throat, tuck the chin, release the chin, the throat, the belly, the root, exhale right. Inhale right, hold right, pause, engage the root, the belly, the throat, the chin, release the chin, the throat, the belly, the root, exhale left. You can continue on like that for a few more rounds of breathing. When you're done, you'll exhale through the left. You'll take as many rounds as you want. I'm going to set the timer now. You join us when you're ready. Bringing hands to heart. Namaste.